Hi everyone, and welcome to English 1302 section V37 for Summer 2 2020. My name is Robin Bell and I'll be your English instructor this semester. First of all, I want to say hello and thank you to everyone for your patience. I apologize for the technical difficulty in the course shell not being populated at the start of the day today. According to Distance Education, there was a backlog of course copies and it created a delay of some sort. But anyway, I appreciate your patience very much, and I want to take just a few minutes to kind of show you how the course is organized, how to navigate it, and what we have coming up. Okay, so we're on the Start Here Syllabus and Essential Course Information page. This should be the very first page that loads when you log into our course. So we're going to start with just this page, and I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. And after the welcome, we've got a couple of things. The first of which is the syllabus, which I'm going to click here. This is the 1302 syllabus for this section for this summer. And so we've got all of the contact information here. That's my email address, the rbell@southtexascollege.edu, and that's where you email me if you have any questions or need help with anything for the course. And you can also message me through Pronto at any time. I have official office hours Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m., but you can message me any time of day. I get your emails on my phone. I get the Pronto messages on my phone. And if I'm available or awake, I will answer you shortly thereafter. Okay, I'm going to let you look and read through the syllabus later, but I just want to point out a couple of things. The first of which is the grading criteria. This is kind of a breakdown of what I consider to be an A paper, a B paper, and so on. And then after this, I also have an explanation of how I grade your papers. And basically, I read them through once to kind of look at the content, the organization, the execution, kind of the big picture issues, if you will. And then I give it a second reading to go through and look for things like spelling, grammar, punctuation, documentation, style, and things like that. So everybody's papers get at least 2 readings. And so I spend a lot of time on your papers, and I try to spend my time on evaluating them because I know that you work really hard. Okay, in terms of the breakdown of your course grade, I've got kind of the standard grading scale. An A+ is 100, a B+ is an 88, and so on. So if you see those grades on a paper, that's what they correspond to. And then underneath that, we have the course distribution. Now, the very first essay that we do, it's kind of a timed essay, but I don't really put you on a timer in Lockdown Browser or anything. It's just that it's on a tighter timetable than our other papers. If you notice, essays 2 and 3, we have a rough draft, a revised draft, and a final draft. So we kind of get to go through the whole process for at least 2 of the papers. But since the summer session is so short and so condensed, we don't have time to do that for all 3. So our very first one is kind of a one draft, one shot essay that we'll write early in the term. And it's kind of practice for this second essay. They're both similar kinds of essay, exactly the same kind, just different works that they're over. Both of the first 2 essays are over a single work of literature. So the good news is that we are not starting out with research papers. The first essay is over a short story, which is a really good short story. It's called In a Grove, and it is a Japanese murder mystery that's open-ended. And our task for that one will be to figure out who the murderer is. And FYI, there's not a right answer. It's open-ended, and it's possible to make a case for each one of the 3 main characters being the guilty party. So we'll talk more about that later. And then the second essay is exactly the same kind of essay. It's also about a work of literature. It's an argument. And that work of literature is also open-ended, and it will be based on the play Doubt. And I'll show you just a minute, the books and the things that we are using. And that was also made into a movie, which is really good. And if you can watch it, I hope that you that you do. Then our last paper, we are required to have at least one paper that's the research paper, so that's going to be the last one. And we will be able to go through all of the process there, but you can see what each one counts for. The first one counts for 10%, the second one 25%, the third one 30%. Then we've got a final exam. And then quizzes, assignments, and discussions all count for 20% of the grade. Do notice, though, that the drafts for the papers, especially essays 2 and 3, those count more than regular homework assignments, and I started doing that to encourage and make sure that students were doing them. Number one, because they're not graded punitively. If you do everything that I ask on those, you should get hundreds on those. And, you know, those are kind of easy points to get, because I believe that we need to have those drafts in so that we have something to work with and we can work toward improvement before they become final drafts and worth a bigger percentage of the overall course grade. Okay, so down below this, we've got our textbook and our resources. Now, I will say that this course is cut down a little bit from what I normally do in the fall semester, so I have thrown out some content, but the two things that I still have in here are the played out, which that's this one right here, and it's about 60 pages or so. It's all dialogue because it is a play, so it's a quick read. It was also made into a movie with Meryl Streep, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Viola Davis, and Amy Adams. If you get a chance to watch it, please do. Sometimes it's available for streaming on Netflix, sometimes not. I think right now it is not, but if you're able to rent it or watch it, that would be great. It's really good, and it was directed by the playwright who wrote the book. So all of the choices that are in the film are there for a reason, and it kind of complements the book. It follows the book very, very closely, but there's some key differences, and if you do watch the film, you will be allowed to use that in that paper. Now, I do know it's a summer session, and I will tell you this. I have found that you can find an actor's copy of this play online in a PDF format. So I'm not advocating that, but I'm just saying I found it. So if you don't want to buy the book, then you certainly don't have to. I don't care. As long as you have a copy of it, that's the important thing that matters. The book that you see down below is called Pursuing Happiness, a Bedford Spotlight Reader. This is another book that I require in my face-to-face classes in the fall and spring semesters. And since this is a summer book, I'm going to leave it as recommended. I recommend that you get it for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you get it, I think it will make your life easier when it comes to the research paper, because then you won't have to really search for articles for the research paper. The book is nothing more than a collection of essays and articles on the subject of happiness. And so my purpose in assigning this in the fall and spring semesters is so that we can focus on the process, and so we don't have to spend a lot of time hunting and searching in the databases. Obviously, you still have to browse and skim articles in the book, but it makes it a little bit easier, you know, to kind of find and collect sources kind of quickly for the book. For the paper. I will say that it's available in paperback or as an ebook. If you got it as an ebook, it would be available for immediate download. Since it is a summer session, though, I'm not going to absolutely require it. I will do some things and bring in some material so that, you know, technically, if you want to get by without that, you'll be able to, but just be aware that when we get to that research paper, if you don't have this book, then, you know, you're likely going to have to do some of the searching for the articles on your own in the STC databases. Okay, if we scroll down here, kind of what you expect in terms of the technical requirements for the course. I'll let you look at this later. This material is also in the Unit 0 module, but you need a computer, reliable internet access, Microsoft Word, which we do have copies of that, or an online version of that available for all STC students. Printer is useful but not required. And we are going to use certain apps, which again I talk about in Module 0, which I'll show you in just a moment. But let me scroll down a little bit on the syllabus just to show you a part that you might particularly want to look at. Do read all of my policies and things like that, just so that we kind of know what the expectations are. And the summer session is so quick that, I can't really afford to take any late work. So it's going to be really important for all of us to stay on top of deadlines and to try to work ahead of the curve if we can. Okay, so once I scroll down past the common proofreading symbols, which you might like to look at some point, I do have, the time commitment required. Here's the readings and assignments timeline. So I have a week by week breakdown, and I know we're not meeting face to face, but notice that I have a breakdown that usually contains about 3 days out of the week, and that's simply so that we can spread out due dates for things, and it will hopefully prevent, having to just list everything all in one big chunk for the week and have a bunch of things due, and it would be too easy to procrastinate. So if we look, I'll just show you how it works a little bit. Today is Wednesday, July 8th that I'm making this video. So you'll see in the middle column, I have the course concepts that are on the schedule for that day, plus the lesson folders to read, view, and complete. So I have here that I would like for you to read and explore the Start Here page, which is where we started, to read the syllabus, and then, if you will, please read and review all of the Unit 0 materials. And all of that's just, kind of things about the course and the syllabus and the technology that we'll use and things like that. We do have a couple of things that I would like for us to try to do today. I know we were a little bit late in getting the course content up, so I will be taking that into account. But these things are so easy and so quick, I think everybody ought to still be able to do them. And I'll show you where they are in just a moment. But we have an icebreaker activity, and this is sort of a getting to know you introductory activity where you'll introduce yourself to the class. You'll see that I've already introduced myself. And then the idea is that as people post, that we go back in and that we say hello and kind of engage in some conversation with our classmates. So it's super easy, super fun. I am going to take it for a grade, so it ought to be 100 that everybody is starting out with, which means everybody starts out with an A. And then all we got to do is hang on to that. Other than that, for today, we've got a syllabus quiz. It's 10 questions. It's open note, open syllabus. It is super easy. It's designed for you to get 100, and really the only reason it's a quiz is I wanted to make sure that you read the syllabus and knew the important things that are on there. There's one other activity that I ask you to do today. It's not a graded activity, but in the Unit 0 materials, there is a little video on plagiarism. I don't know, it's like 5 minutes or something like that. And then there is an STC plagiarism tutorial. It's not very long. If you'll please take that, because I'm going to assume that you have and that you know all the things in there moving forward. I think we all kind of have an intuitive sense or know a little bit about what plagiarism is, but by watching that video and taking the tutorial, it will kind of refresh everybody's memory about what constitutes plagiarism, and we'll be talking about some things throughout the course that will hopefully prevent us from committing accidental plagiarism, which comes more from maybe having bad habits instead of bad intentions. All right, if we see after today, we will begin Unit 1, and this is where the regular content will begin, and this is called Writing About Literature Part 1, and this is where we begin talking about the Japanese short story, The Murder Mystery. Now, you don't have to wait until Friday to start, viewing that content. I have just broken up due dates, over the course of maybe about 2 to 3 days each week. So as soon as you're ready, especially after you have finished the Unit 0 module, you can go right into Unit 1, the first part, and then these are the things that you should, start taking a look at. So what you see in italics there at the top, the primary sources in writing about a work of literature, that would be the name of the folder, and then you'd read or view everything in that folder. So there's some stuff on primary versus secondary sources, writing about literature, the conventions, and so on. And then in the writing of the literary argument part 1, exploring the short story Intergrove, I'd like for you to look at these things: the Intergrove writing prompt, a few key things to know before reading the story. Then please print and annotate the Inna Grove story and formulate an opinion as to who the murder might be. And then there's a little interactive survey called Who Killed the Samurai? It's just literally 1, 2, or 3. Who do you think? It's not for a grade, but it's just kind of so we can gauge how many people think it's this character or that character. In the right column to the side of that, you see what's due by Friday, July 10th. There are 2 very short PlayPosit quizzes, and PlayPosit is a program that I use to create quizzes for videos, and sometimes the questions are at the end of the video if it's really short, as the first one is. Well, both of the videos are short, but primary and secondary sources, that video is like maybe 3 minutes or so. So the questions are at the end, and then the writing about literature, that's kind of the lesson is contained in there. And all of the quizzes that I give you, by the way, they are open notes. So any of the stuff I have in Blackboard, anything you want to look at to help you answer the questions, because the whole point of the quizzes or me giving you any kind of assignment is not for them to be hard and not for them to drag your grade down, but rather for you to remember the content that is contained in that video or that's contained in other parts of the module. So 2 super short little PlayPosit quizzes by Friday. And then on the Getting to Know Your Class Icebreaker activity, the follow-up post to that will be due. So that'll be the part where you will, kind of say hey to your fellow classmates, maybe say hey to me, maybe comment on some of the things that people have posted on, just so we have a little bit of interactivity. And I'll show you that activity in just a moment. And then Friday is also when we will start kind of an interactive discussion or chat on the story Inna Grove, and this will hopefully emulate what happens in a face-to-face class, where we would come in and we would discuss and debate who we think the real murderer is, and start arguing how the other characters who confess to the murder couldn't possibly have done it. And so this is kind of where we start working through the story. So our initial posts for that are due by Friday, July 10th. But by all means, we can continue the conversation that day, and then we'll continue it on Saturday, and it can continue all the way through Sunday, because we've got the weekend to kind of talk about it, work through the story, and for you to read the rest of the content in that first folder of Unit 1 before, excuse me, just a moment. Okay, I'm back. I apologize for the interruption. My phone went off. Okay. So that's how the day-by-day kind of breakdown works for the syllabus. I do hope that you consider, if you have access to a printer, that you print out at least this day-by-day part. It might be kind of nice to have handy, and it will help keep you on track. I will be logging in, of course, every day to kind of remind, make announcements, and see how everybody's doing, and if anybody needs any help with anything. But basically, the very first real thing we're going to do is kind of talk and work through this story, and you'll read all the content. I've got sample materials, sample body sections, introductions, conclusions, how to approach writing the paper, and so on. And then by Monday, July 13th, we've got that first essay exam due. Remember, it's not truly timed. If you look at the instructions on there, I ask you to kind of honor system, limit yourself to a certain amount of time. And that's simply because I want this to emulate what might happen in a face-to-face class. It is good practice to learn how to write things under the pressure of time, but nobody will be timing you. So technically you could take extra time and I wouldn't be any the wiser. But just so you know, this is kind of a one draft, turn it in. So in that regard, it is kind of like a timed essay. It's not like the other ones where we will have opportunity to, kind of revise it once, revise it twice for a final draft. But I don't want you to panic or whatever. If I see that, that there is a need, I will make allowances and perhaps allow revisions to that, once I grade them. But we just don't have time to go through the whole process for that. But it will give us good practice for the next paper after that, which is Over the Play Doubt. So this is the day-by-day breakdown. That's the syllabus, so you make sure you want to read that from cover to cover. But if I go back to the main course content page, if you see the essential course information infographic here, this was made using a program called Padlet. It's actually an application. It's an application that I'll be asking you to download to your phone, and it's one that we'll be using here in Blackboard as well. One of the things that I like to use it for is to deliver content. So this is kind of an infographic of the important things. I need to revise this part right here. This is not a dual enrollment class, so please forgive me. The course copy just completed right before I was able to make this video, and I will correct that as soon as I post this. But I'll post the one for our class, and this is me over here, and that's me from a few years ago actually. This is me now. You'll see my story in the course introduction. I've got the course books over here. I've got a copy of the Intergrove story. I've got it in the Unit 1 Module 2. Here is what the cover of the Doubt play looks like, and so on. And you would just scroll through this whole thing. Now, I will say that when you want to make a Padlet full screen, all you have to do is click on this little icon with the square and the arrow in it in the upper right-hand corner. I'll go ahead and do that, and there we have it, full screen, and you can just scroll through the different columns to see what's what. Here are the course policies. These are, kind of the bigger things that are on the syllabus. Now, this is not a substitute for reading the syllabus. The syllabus obviously is way more detailed, but this is kind of a cut to the chase, more visual method. And over here, we have things like my office hours, which, I've got to be announced on here, so I'll correct that. But if we look on the syllabus, it says Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m., but you can contact me anytime. As long as I'm awake and have my phone or my computer handy, you should expect an answer pretty quickly in that regard. Okay, so let me bounce back over here to the main page. And I've got some information about, the kind of browsers I recommend. There is a folder for technical resources and support. The due dates for the major things are already here. So I've got the due dates for, essay exam 1, our second essay, our third essay, and the final exam. Of course, we have lots of little things in between, and those things are listed on the syllabus. In terms of how your course grade is calculated, here is the breakdown, and you'll see that, most of our grade comes from the essays and the exams, like essay 1 and the final exam. But then we also have a category for assignments, quizzes, and discussions. That's 20% of the grade. And then our rough draft. So here when you see things that say like essay 2.1 and 2.2, that means draft 1 and draft 2. And out to the side, you'll see that draft 1 of our second paper is worth 1% and draft 2 is worth 2%. So that means that they're worth a little bit more than, say, a homework assignment by themselves. And I did that to kind of encourage everybody to turn those in, because I'm a big believer in the fact that we need to have those drafts so we have something to look at so that we can work toward improvement for the final draft, so that we can do the very best that we can. Okay, and then down here at the bottom, I've got in this part right here, this is a short verbal tutorial or explanation of how to do the icebreaker activity. And quite honestly, this should be enough, plus what I'm going to say right here for you to be able to get what to do. But if you want, I've got a little video tutorial. You probably don't need to watch it, but I made one just in case if you would like to watch that. But basically, here is our getting to know your class icebreaker activity. And again, let me go back up here. I do need to correct this. This is the wrong icebreaker, but it's the same premise. And so let me go up here. I'm going to make this full screen. Now, this is a Padlet, and I'm using it for an icebreaker activity. And you'll notice that I have introduced myself here. That's me, or that's what I used to look like. And I got a picture, and oh, awesome. It looks like Bailey from my other class has started to post here. But the idea here, it's super easy to post, and notice that Bailey's name is showing up in the corner there, and that's because she has already signed up for a Padlet account. Now, if you just click on this, now I'm already signed in, so notice that my name shows up right here. If I weren't signed into Padlet, it would show up with an alien icon and it would say anonymous. So what you need to do before you post, if you will, is go to padlet.com and just sign up for the free account. Like I just use my Gmail account. You can use whatever email account you want. Sign up for the free one. And then make sure that you're logged in before you post so that we can see your name and so that you can edit your posts. Now, if you don't do that, it's not a big deal. I mean, you can still post and you could type your name right here. Like I could type my name right there and I could, you know, begin typing my post, you know, right here. But, you know, I've already got my post, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. But just to show you what all you can do is if you click on the ... it comes up with a menu and you can upload a picture from your phone. You could upload a picture from your computer. You could link to any URL like a website, a music video, a funny video. You could search for images. There's all kinds of different things that you could do here. So sometimes I put a picture of myself. Sometimes I put a picture of my dog. I've had students do all kinds of things like put pictures of their dogs, of artwork that they do and things like that. But it's just a fun getting to know you kind of activity. Then if you'll notice down at the bottom of each post, there's a place for you to comment. So the idea is that after we all introduce one another, that we go back in and we give each other a shout out and be like, hey, I watched that show in Netflix too, and just kind of see what we have in common and kind of get to know everybody. And my hope too is that this kind of breaks down barriers, makes everybody more comfortable in the class, and that you feel more comfortable in reaching out and, you know, kind of contacting and talking to me. Okay, so that's the icebreaker activity, and that is the first activity that I'm going to ask you to do, and it's super easy. And if you will, do your post, your introductory post today, and then, you know, we've got a little bit of time, I believe till Friday, to do the follow-up posts. Okay. And down at the bottom of this page, I just have a fun little video from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You can watch it if you like. You don't have to if you don't want to. I really need to only show you a couple of other things before I wrap up and conclude this welcome video, and that is to show you kind of how to navigate through the course and how it's organized. Okay, so we're on the Start Here page. Most of the time we're going to be over here in the course content, lectures, assignments, and activities. And I guess before I do that, let me go ahead and see if I can go up here and go into the student view so you'll see exactly what you would see when you log in instead of from my view. Okay, so I'm on that start page again. And by the way, this wheel of names and other fun stuff, it is totally optional. If you never click on that link, there will not be any penalty. There's nothing that is required there. It's just fun stuff and a wheel of names. All right, so let me click into the course content here. And this is what you should see now. You'll see the Unit 0, which is where we should be starting on Wednesday, July 8th, and I'll click into that in just a moment. And then our very first unit, the one that contains the Intergrove story and all the materials for that, and the materials over the play Doubt, are in this Unit 1 folder. As we get closer toward the end of this unit, I will show you the other folder for Unit 2, which is for the research paper, and the research paper is on the subject of happiness. But right now, we have all that we need for the next few weeks in this first unit. But before I go there, let me click into Unit 0. This is the course introduction unit. And we'll see that I have organized the course using kind of a module tool or a lesson tool. It takes just a minute for that first image to load, and it kind of works like a slide presentation. On the left you have a table of contents that you can navigate through, and on the right you have the content and you just arrow through the content. The idea in each unit is that you go through everything in order, one by one. It is possible, however, for you to navigate around. So let's say that you have already looked at some of this stuff in this first unit and you're like, oh, I've already seen the syllabus, I've already seen these things. Then you could go click on, you know, the parts that you have not looked at. So I'll just illustrate that, and I'll click on, you know, the next part, and it loads, and notice that the menu is here on the left. Now, a few things that I had to figure out about this menu is if you click on this little arrow right here, it will move the whole menu to the bottom of the screen. So I don't recommend that. I kind of like having it here on the left-hand side. I think maybe most people might like that as well. So I don't recommend that. But if it ever happens and you do it on accident, all you have to do is click the arrow again, and it will put it right back here on the left. If I click on this little icon to the far left, it says minimize table of contents. And so when I do that, notice it makes the content kind of full screen. So let me scroll through to some, you know, real content. Now this little folder is just kind of the equipment that you need. So it's just a lot of pictures kind of showing you that you need a reliable computer and internet access. So this isn't a true lesson. It's just kind of a listing of the things that you need. But let's say at any given time you want to see what's on the table of contents. You just come right back over here and you'll click on the little icon that says expand table of contents, and notice that it opens it up partway. If you want to see a little bit more of the text, you can click on the middle one and it will maximize, and so it scoots it over a little bit more so you can see a little bit more of the text. And so that's how you navigate through. Now, as you go through here in this folder right here, what is rhetoric? I've got some really short, high interest videos that I recommend that you watch. These are over some course concepts that are important to this class. Here is the thing that I was talking about earlier, plagiarism, what it is and how to avoid it. Notice that there are only 2 items here. There's a really short video, and then there's an STC tutorial. So you would click on those to watch those and take that. But I want to show you one other thing before we move on to the other folder, and I'll show you a couple of things right there. Notice that there's a link to the syllabus quiz right here. But you don't have to take, I put the links here for your convenience, but you don't have to take them if you don't want to. Now, since it is a syllabus quiz, I do recommend that you either have the syllabus printed out or you have another tab open so that you could look at it while you're taking the quiz. It's totally open note. I'm not trying to catch anybody up on that. I want you to make 100. But let me go ahead and arrow to that and just show you what it would look like. And so notice that it says click to launch. And I would click there if I want to access the assignment link for the syllabus quiz. This is just one place that you can access it. I'm going to show you another in just a moment. But let's say you're in here, you've already read the syllabus, or you have a tab open, and you say to yourself, well, yes, I think I'll take it right now. Well, you could click on the link right here, and it would take you to the quiz right away. If you decide, oh, I don't want to take the quiz right now, I still have time before it's due, and you want to go ahead to the next thing, you could do one of 2 things. You can either arrow through to the next item and, you know, take a look at that, or you could navigate using the menu to the part, you know, that you want to go to. So if I wanted to go to the, you know, what is critical thinking video, then I would, you know, kind of just navigate to that and click. And I could click this here and watch it, you know, in that amount of space. I can come over here and minimize that. And just know that when you play these YouTube videos here, and I guess I'll just go ahead and show you that if you click on YouTube, it will open it in a, so if you want to open it and actually watch it in YouTube, you can certainly do that if you don't want to watch it on a smaller screen here in Blackboard. But I like to embed them because I think it looks better than just a link. All right, so let me go back out here to the table of contents, and that's how I would navigate through that. Let me go back out here and just show a few things in the Unit 1 folder. It is the same thing here. And I'm going to go ahead and expand the table of contents a little bit so I can see it. Now, it really is important when you're navigating through the course materials that you don't skip around, especially when you get to the main unit materials, because the scope and sequence of the lessons are presented in order for a reason. So in this first one, there's just two things. There's a little video quiz, and then there is should be another video quiz here, understanding primary and secondary sources. Actually, that's a standalone copy of it for the Play Pause It quiz on that, if you wanted to watch it by itself first before taking the quiz. All right, and then after that, we've got the writing about literature, the conventions. And again, the idea is that you arrow through this, one at a time. And you're never expected to arrow through the whole thing. Keep in mind that, these units are comprised of lessons that span, a period of time. So what you need to do is, that's why I recommend that you print out the day-by-day copy of the syllabus, because then you can see which folders are you supposed to read by a given day, what things are due, so that oh, okay, I need to, read these things and then take this Play Pause It quiz on writing about literature. And so that's the kind of scope and sequence. And remember, if you got to the Play Pause It quiz here and you decided, oh, I don't really want to take it right now, I want to just kind of continue reading the content, remember that you can just arrow through that. I'm actually glad that I clicked on that handout and it looks like it is upside down. Sometimes this happens, and there should be a way, here we go, that you can rotate that, because I did upload it in the correct orientation, but sometimes it appears that way. But all you have to do is click on that to rotate it around. You can read it here in line, or you can download it, or print the handouts or materials that I have here in Blackboard. So that's it. That's how to navigate, the course once you're in a module folder. Let me show you a couple of other things before we wrap up this first video. This is the assignment submission folder. And this is where you can always access your assignments. So if you always want to access them and turn them in here, they are all in here and they will appear here. I just try to, when I think of it, to put the links in the module folder so that if you're reading content that's relevant to that particular assignment and you want to take it right then and there, then you can do so. But if not, you can just arrow past it or navigate past it by using the menu. So right now I have these things open. These things are not all due at the same time. We do want to try to take the syllabus quiz today. The Play Pause It quizzes are coming up soon. Those are not due today. Really, what you see here on the list are just the syllabus quiz. That's the only thing here that I would like for you to please try to do today by Wednesday, July 8th. And then the other two things that we have for today would be the Getting to Know Your Class Icebreaker, which is on the Padlet on the Start Here page. And it's not a regular assignment, but I put it there on the Start Here page because I figured people would start there first. And then I have asked you to also take the STC plagiarism tutorial that's in that Module 0 folder. The rest of the stuff that's in there you can just kind of review and look at so that you know the technology that we need. There are some apps and things that we will be using in Blackboard and on our phones, so you'll want to look at those things. One of those apps is Pronto Instant Messaging. Now, I already have this app on my phone, but I'm in student mode, so I believe if I click here, it's going to show me what it would show you if you don't have already Pronto on your phone. Let's see what it says. Oh, it's recognizing me. So it's taking me into this particular class. I talked to some of you earlier today in this app, and so you can post messages right here. That's what I did this morning. I posted from my computer, but you can also post from your phone. And the neat thing about it is it kind of works like text messaging once you have it on your phone. If you send me a message, I get it right away. If I send you a message, you get it right away. I can talk to the whole class. I could send messages to individual students, and the same is true for, You can private message me if you don't want anybody else to see it, if it's just a question that you have. And you can also click on the green button here and you could create a group. So if there are some people that you know in class, or if there's some people that you get to know in class and you're like, oh, I want to just message these 3 people, then you can do that as well. So this is a super neat tool. It's great for students because you can ask each other questions. You can ask me questions, and sometimes maybe even students post a question for me, but another student happens to be online, and maybe if they know the answer, they can kind of jump on the boards and be able to help. So this is a great way to contact me through Pronto. You can contact me anytime through Pronto or through, my regular email account, which appears on the first page of the syllabus, and that is rbell@southtexascollege.edu. So that is Pronto, and that is one of the apps that we'll be using over the course of the semester. So that's kind of an overview of what we have in store. These other links, I hope you explore all of Blackboard. Here's Pronto Instant Messaging. Here is a direct link to your JAG mail. So if you ever need to email me, please do it from your JAG mail account and not Blackboard. Not that I have anything against Blackboard messages, but the only thing is that when I get a notification for those, if I'm not already in Blackboard, I have to log in every time I get an email in order to answer those. And so it's just easier for me to use my regular email account because those come right into my phone. And so as soon as I notice or see the announcement, then I can, kind of respond quickly. Or if I get a notification on Pronto that I got a message, I can respond quickly. All right, then if we scroll down here a little bit more, I've got the main unit Padlets in one place. I use these for course content. I do have all the course content in the folders, but sometimes when I add extra files and things like that, or I have extra things that are in the Padlets. So this is a Padlet for the very first kind of timed essay, or what we're calling the essay exam. A lot of these materials are still in the folder. Then we've got the main unit Padlet for the essay coming up after that, and the essay coming up after that. You don't have to look at any of this stuff now, but some people appreciate or like having these things all in one place. And the nice thing about the Padlets is that if you come over here and you click the like button, especially once you have signed up for your free account and you have this on your phone as well, once you click the like button on any of the Padlets that I create, it should start showing up in your Padlet menu on your phone, or your Padlet menu when you log into Padlet on Padlet.com on your computer. So that means you'd be able to access any of the content that is in a Padlet even when you're not in Blackboard. So that's one of the reasons why I really love Padlet. And in my face-to-face classes, I often use Padlets as the only way to kind of store documents. And so it's like super easy for me to add files. If students have questions or trouble and I create extra files, I can put them on there and then kind of send everybody a notice saying, hey, I put extra examples or extra materials, on the Padlet for this. But so these are here if you want them. Over here, I have the MLA format and Microsoft Basics. There are lots of, kind of videos and quick links here if you have any questions about those things. And then one of the things that we'll be taking advantage of over this summer is the online tutoring and paper review services. And I've got some information about those here. The links for these are here, and there are little demo videos and so on. We'll talk a little bit more about these a little bit as it gets closer to when we're going to use them, but they are here on the left-hand side navigation menu. There are some other things over here too, the Blackboard help. If you have questions, about things with regard to Blackboard, it's a good resource to look into. So that's kind of it for the course overview and how to navigate and how the course is organized. I would like to welcome everybody to the class, and I really appreciate your patience in the fact that it took a little bit of time for our course content to copy over from from what was executed yesterday. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you And so don't forget on the Start Here page that, one of the first things that we're going to do is this getting to know your class icebreaker activity. Give me just a moment after the conclusion of this video. You should see at the top of it, English 1302 V37. So I will put the one for our class in here so that it is the correct one. Okay, y'all have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Let me know if you need anything at all. Bye-bye.